10 incredible video games you'll never get to play. ChavezzSlovakia, you will never get to play it. You, out there, ever. You will never get to. That also means I won't ever get to. Well, that's just depressing. So let's check it out. I love new releases of video games. I just think that shit's fucking amazing. And whenever a concept is like announced and canceled, it really hurts. I remember I think I had to take the reaction down a while ago. What was it, like Dragonborn or something like that? Dragon Rage or something like that. It was that shit had to be canceled. I was just sad about it. I hate when fucking games are
Every year there seems to be an extremely ambitious video game that gets revealed, a game that tons of people are excited for, and unfortunately one day we find out that game is canceled.
Yeah.
There are also games that no one knew was in development that were given the axe before publicly being announced, and also games that ended up being completely different than originally planned. Today we're going to explore some of these projects and discuss the original vision, what went wrong, and why we'll unfortunately never get to see the original game idea as it was intended. Make sure to comment below and let me know your thoughts on these video games. Nonetheless, let's begin at the 10 spot with Horror of the Orient. Team Bondi at one point was going to be Rockstar Australia, but that didn't happen because of a rocky development with LA Noire, and following the release of that game, they began working on something else, this being an action-adventure game Horror of the Orient. It was to be set in the year of 1936, centering around the corrupt city of Shanghai in the hands of Western powers. Filled with mob crime and political troubles, the Kuomintang ruthlessly puts down labor movements in an effort to suppress communism, whilst the international police force attempts to maintain peace. Unfortunately, because of allegations made claiming unethical working practices at Team Bondi with the development of LA Noire, nobody wished to partner with this studio, leading to Australian company Kennedy Miller Mitchell absorbing most of the company in August of 2011. By 2013, rumors began floating that the Team Bondi staff had been fired and the game was on hold, something confirmed later on in 2016. Being a massive fan of LA Noire and the technology they used, this certainly was disappointing.
What is that? What were those allegations for LA Noire? That sounds like a good story.
News, especially since the leaked gameplay from 2013 looked interesting and could have been something special. At number 9 is Agent, the one Rockstar game that has never officially been cancelled. Originally, it was supposed to be a PlayStation 3 exclusive. This game would have taken place during the Cold War. It would have taken players into the world of counterintelligence, espionage, and political assassinations. No one really knows what exactly went wrong with Agent, but over the years, concept art and images have leaked. Rockstar also spoke very highly of the game back in 2009, with Rockstar's parent company Take-Two saying the game would be genre-defining and a whole new way to experiencing video games that we haven't really seen before. The thing is, Rockstar had a long track record of revolutionary titles, from Red Dead Redemption to Bully.
Red Dead, so good.
And a spy game certainly was something many were excited for, but unfortunately, looks like this game is dead. To the number 8 spot we have is Dead Space 4. Visceral Games had plans to make this game following Dead Space 3, but unfortunately that game just didn't sell as well, which can be attributed to negative press over microtransactions and just a bit of a dip in quality compared to the universally loved Dead Space 2. Recently, Dead Space creative director Ben Wanat revealed some of their plans for Dead Space 4, claiming they had hoped to go deeper with non-linear gameplay, as hinted with the Lost Flotilla chapter of Dead Space 3.
That shit is terrifying.
Revealed they didn't plan on featuring Isaac Clarke as the main protagonist, but Ellie, a side character featured in Dead Space 3. The concept of the game would have been the player hopping from ship to ship, seeking out equipment and battling the horde of necromorphs that would have been inside. Ultimately, with the developer Visceral Games being shut down last year and the mediocre sales of Dead Space 3, it honestly looks like this franchise is dead, especially since publisher Electronic Arts has stepped back from supporting single-player focused games.
Dead Space is
at number 7
terrifying.
is Scalebound, the big Microsoft exclusive action RPG being developed by Platinum Games, revealed at E3 2014. This was a game that a lot of people were excited for, especially since the Xbox One had lacked good console exclusives. The game would have had players assume control of Drew as he progressed through the world of Draconis. Players would also be accompanied by a dragon called Thuban, who would assist Drew throughout the game. This game appeared to be far into development, with already a good chunk of gameplay and info being revealed, but following the game being delayed from a late 2016 release to 2017, it was announced in January 2017 the game had been cancelled, with Microsoft noting, with continuing issues surrounding the game's engine and overdue deadlines, the decision was made that the project could no longer continue. Later in 2017, Microsoft head Phil Spencer suggested that announcing the game too early and raising fan expectations to the point where it wasn't certain that the studio could actually deliver was why the game was canned. Maybe one day Platinum Games and Microsoft will work together on an exclusive, but it certainly will not be scaled down.
Please, just give it to us. Give me a sample.
Number 6 is Valve, and any game with a 3. Years ago, Valve was one of the best gaming developers within this whole industry, but for some reason, games like Half-Life 3, Left 4 Dead 3, Portal 3, and Team Fortress 3 have never happened. Valve concentrating on solely Steam has become evident in recent years, as well as their money-making multiplayer franchises, and while there have been numerous leaks indicating all of these games at one point being in development, nothing has officially came, and unfortunately it just doesn't look like Valve has any interest in making these big games anymore. Sadly, the ship probably has sailed on ever seeing some of these games. Like for example, Mark Laidlaw, former Valve writer of both Half-Life and Half-Life 2, released in August 2017 a plot summary of what was more than likely Half-Life 2 Part 3. Sadly, something else that had been planned but will never probably happen in an official capacity. At the number 5 spot is Mafia 4. Hangar 13 delivered Mafia 3 to mediocre and disappointing reviews in October of 2016.
Was not good.
It was a game that needed more development time, and when it was released, it was clear certain aspects were rushed with repetitive missions and gameplay, as well as an underwhelming open world. But it still was successful in sales, and personally, I really did enjoy Lincoln Clay as the protagonist. Now in 2017, Hangar 13 began working on Mafia 4, which would have been set in 1970s Las Vegas.
It's just so hard to divide these games from like any kind of GTA experience. Even like Watch Dogs did a good job of that with the first game, but and to do it repeatedly, I mean, there's just so much competition now in that setting. But I did hear about this game coming out in an old Las Vegas time set, so of course I'm always interested in
the glitz and glamour mob-controlled Sin City. But soon after, Hangar 13 decided they actually wanted to work on a new IP called Rap City, a game about subterfuge in 1980s Berlin, but that has then turned into something completely different, involving playing as a superhero and music in San Francisco, but that has also fallen apart, and Hangar 13 has suffered massive layoffs. Right now it seems the future of this company is in question, as it doesn't seem like they know what they want to do. Rumors have stated that they wish to get on the multiplayer games as a service trend now, but honestly that could even change. Will we ever see Mafia 4? For sure, but with Hangar 13's original plan, probably not, and honestly it seems like it may be quite some time until we see a new installment, whether that comes from Hangar 13 or not. To number 4 is Silent Hills. In 2012, Konami asked Hideo Kojima to direct the next Silent Hill installment, which he accepted with enthusiasm. In 2014, a demo of the game, PT, was released on the PlayStation Network for free. At first, no one knew that this was a demo for Kojima's game, as it was titled simply PT, made by the non-existent 7780 studio. This playable teaser received widespread acclaim, with many praising how well executed and scary it was. But the ending of the demo actually led to a trailer revealing that players were experiencing a playable teaser for a new Silent Hill game being directed by Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro, with the protagonist portrayed by Norman Reedus. Unfortunately though, in 2015, the relationship between Konami and Kojima went downhill fast, with Kojima and his senior staff planning to leave after the release of Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. Konami reportedly mistreated Kojima and went out of their way to remove his name and his studio from promotional material for its games. Not surprising, but soon after, in April 2015, Del Toro and Reedus revealed the Silent Hills game had been cancelled. Fortunately, Del Toro, Reedus, and Kojima have teamed up again to work on Death Stranding, as Kojima Productions is no longer associated with Konami. But unfortunately, we will never probably see Silent Hills, a game that truly could have been a special horror experience made by one of gaming's best developers ever.
PT
now to
was
the number
terrifying.
3 spot is Sleeping Dogs 2. In 2012, a little game called Sleeping Dogs took many by surprise. It was an action-adventure video game developed by United Front Games, taking players into the world of Hong Hong Kong and the story of undercover cop Wei Shen. In early 2013, work on a sequel began, with the original plan being for Sleeping Dogs 2 to pick up after the original game, once again following Officer Wei Shen. This time, Shen would be joined by a conflicted, corrupt partner named Henry Fang as they explore China's Pearl River megacity. As Waypoint noted, the player would have had the ability to arrest any NPC in the world and influence a branching storyline that swapped between both Shen and Fang. By late 2013, though, Sleeping Dogs 2 had already been cancelled, and the developer UFG had moved on to trying other things that ultimately failed, leading to the company quietly going out of business in October of 2016.
Oh shit.
Sleeping Dogs 2 had some really cool ideas like the use of mobile devices and a full co-op mode, but the biggest problem was money, and Square Enix, the publisher, had made Hitman and Tomb Raider the main priority, which meant there was less money to budget towards any Sleeping Dogs 2, so pretty much UFG wanted to make the game, but Square Enix not so much. Maybe one day we do see Sleeping Dogs 2, but unfortunately it won't be from United Front Games, who don't exist anymore. So the original vision is dead, and who knows what a Sleeping Dogs 2 will look like in the future, if it does happen. But at the number 2 spot is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 3.
Oh my
Perhaps
God,
some of the best role-playing games ever were made with BioWare's KOTOR and Obsidian Entertainment's KOTOR 2, The Sith Lords. Years ago, LucasArts and BioWare actually had plans for a KOTOR 3, and the game nearly happened, with the project starting development as far back as 2003, when they canned a Star Wars MMO for console named Proteus, and planned to reuse the same team and parts of the already created design to develop a new KOTOR game. Based on lead designer John Stafford's account in the 2008 book Rogue Leaders, The Story of LucasArts, they had already written a story, designed most of the environments and worlds, and many of the quest characters and items, but the project ultimately was cancelled when LucasArts suffered financial problems and didn't have the money to invest in a big game like KOTOR 3. So before we actually get to the final spot, some honorable mentions I do want to include are Prey 2, the sequel to the 2006 installment that went finally to the number 1 spot is Star Wars 1313, an action-adventure game that was supposed to revolve around Boba Fett in his early adulthood, navigating past the scum of civilization in an underground area of Coruscant known as Level 1313. This would have been a more mature game, which would have featured various exotic weapons that would have been utilized as the player uncovered a criminal conspiracy. Unfortunately, though, once Walt Disney purchased Lucasfilm from George Lucas in late 2012, just months later, Disney shut down LucasArts and terminated Star Wars 1313. Here in 2018, this still was probably the best Star Wars game being developed, at least in the last decade, and unfortunately, Disney didn't really care for gaming and ultimately canceled all the LucasArts games and sold the Star Wars license to Electronic Arts for who knows how long. Now, it should be pointed out, these are just some of the many canceled games we'll never get to see.
God damn it! I'm waiting for another good Star Wars game, man. Oh, well, that's it. That was a sad fucking video, man. That's just a bunch of shit we're never gonna get to see for real. For real, for real. I'll see you guys in the next one, ChavezzSlovakia. Peace.
Crocs, 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 Crocs. I'm rocking Crocs. I'm rocking Crocs. I'm rocking Crocs. Wearing Crocs, boy. I'm rocking Crocs. I'm rocking Crocs. I'm rocking Crocs. Wearing Crocs, boy. My Crocs are gold. My pops is old. My Crocs got soul. My Crocs are bold. I go to church wearing Crocs. I'm always turned wearing Crocs. My Crocs are great. Your Crocs are lame. With my Crocs, I can cross a lake. Crocs, 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 Crocs.